Ben 30M, for nearly 4 years was in a committed, loving relationship with Philippa, 28F. We lived together in a modest apartment downtown, a place we had carefully decorated to feel like our home. I was deeply in love with her. We talked about everything, our careers, our dreams, our future. I envisioned a life with her, contemplating engagement, even picking out rings online. I genuinely believed she was my person, my future. Everything seemed stable, predictable, happy. Until about 2 months ago. Philippa started acting off. Distant. Preoccupied. She'd spend hours on her phone, often with a secretive smile. She started going out more, always claiming it was girls' night or networking events for her marketing job. I tried to ask if everything was okay, if she was stressed. She'd just brush me off, saying she was just going through a lot at work. I tried to be supportive, giving her space, but a knot of unease began to form in my stomach. Then came that Thursday night. We were having a casual dinner at home, something we did almost every night. The atmosphere was heavy. I could feel it. She picked at her food, avoiding my gaze. Finally, she put her fork down, looked at me, and dropped the bombshell. "Ben," she began, her voice a little too calm, a little too rehearsed, "I've been doing a lot of soul-searching lately. And I've realized. I identify as polyamorous." I stared at her, my fork halfway to my mouth. Polyamorous? My mind reeled. What are you talking about, Philippa? "It means I can love more than one person," she explained, as if giving a lecture. "I can have multiple romantic relationships. It's who I am. I've been feeling this way for a while, and I need to explore this part of myself." I felt a mix of disbelief and a cold, creeping anger. Multiple relationships? "Philippa, we're in a monogamous relationship. We live together. We're talking about getting engaged. What does this even mean for us?" She sighed, a dramatic, put-upon sound. "It means I want the freedom to explore. And I've been reconnecting with someone. My ex, Hashim." My blood ran cold. Hashim. Her ex from college. A charming, but notoriously unreliable, musician. They had a messy breakup years ago, but she'd occasionally bring him up, always insisting they were just old friends. "Hashim?" I asked, my voice flat. "So, you discovered you're polyamorous because you want to sleep with your ex?" She bristled. "It's not just about sleeping with him, Ben. It's about a deep, emotional connection. It's about exploring my identity. My personal growth. My journey." She was using all the buzzwords, framing her desire to cheat as some profound act of self-discovery. "My feelings for you haven't changed, Ben. I still love you. I need to be free to explore other connections too." I felt like I was in a bad dream. My mind raced, trying to process the implications. She wanted to have her cake and eat it too. She wanted the comfort and stability of our relationship, while simultaneously pursuing her ex, all under the guise of a new identity. When I tried to articulate my feelings, my hurt, my confusion, my anger at the blatant disrespect, she dismissed my concerns, framing my monogamous expectations as controlling and limiting her personal growth. I was left reeling, questioning the foundation of our entire relationship and every sign I had apparently overlooked. I spent that night on the couch, staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep. My mind replayed the conversation, her words, her dismissive tone. The sheer audacity of it. She was so excited about her new lifestyle, so eager to reconnect with Hashim, completely oblivious to the devastation she had just wrought on my life. The next few days were a blur of emotional turmoil. Philippa acted as if nothing had changed, still talking about our future, while simultaneously making plans with Hashim. I felt like I was drowning, completely isolated in my pain. I didn't know who to talk to. Our mutual friends were mostly her friends. My own close friends lived further away. It was during one of these sleepless nights that a name popped into my head, Margaret. Philippa's half-sister. Philippa and Margaret had a tumultuous, often estranged relationship. They shared the same father, but different mothers, and there was a lot of unspoken tension and resentment between them. Margaret was older, 32F, and always seemed more grounded, more straightforward than Philippa. I had always gotten along well with Margaret during family gatherings, finding her dry wit and honest demeanor a refreshing contrast to Philippa's often superficial charm. They hadn't spoken in months, after a big fight over something trivial. A desperate thought formed, maybe Margaret would understand. Maybe she could offer some perspective. It was a long shot, a desperate reach, but I had nothing left to lose. I found her on Instagram, sent her a message. "Hey Margaret," I wrote, "this is Ben. I know this is out of the blue, but I'm going through something really difficult with Philippa, and I honestly don't know who else to talk to. Would you be open to getting coffee sometime?" To my surprise, she replied almost immediately. "Ben? Wow. Yeah, of course. I'm free Tuesday morning." We met at a quiet coffee shop. I laid out the entire situation, the polyamory bombshell, the ex, the emotional manipulation, my utter devastation. I expected shock, maybe even disbelief. Instead, Margaret just listened, her expression calm, almost unsurprised. When I finished, she took a sip of her coffee. "Yeah," she said, nodding slowly. "That sounds exactly like Philippa. She's always been like this. Selfish. Manipulative. She's just found a new label to justify her behavior." "What do you mean?" I asked, bewildered. "Ben," Margaret said, looking me straight in the eye, "Philippa has been talking about Hashim for months. She's been planning this polyamory journey for at least 6 months, probably longer. She's been reading books, watching documentaries, talking to people online. This isn't some sudden revelation. This is a carefully constructed excuse to get back with her ex while keeping you as a backup plan. She's always done this. She uses people until they no longer serve her purpose." Her words were like a cold shower, but also incredibly validating. It wasn't me. It wasn't my insecurity. It was Philippa, and her long-standing pattern of manipulation. Then, Margaret smiled, a glint in her eye. "You know," she said, "if you really want to get even, there's one surefire way to drive Philippa absolutely insane." I raised an eyebrow, intrigued despite myself. "How?" "Date me," Margaret said simply. "Philippa hates that I exist. She hates that I'm older, that I'm stable, that I don't play her games. The thought of you and me together would absolutely send her over the edge." Initially, the idea of dating Margaret as a form of revenge felt cheap. Petty. But the more we talked, the more I realized there was something deeper happening. Margaret was straightforward, honest, and treated me with a level of respect and genuine interest that I hadn't realized I'd been missing from Philippa. We talked for hours, about her strained relationship with Philippa, about our shared frustrations with Philippa's manipulative tendencies, about our own lives and dreams. We found common ground, shared values, and a surprisingly easy rapport. It wasn't just about revenge anymore, it was about a genuine connection, a refreshing sense of authenticity. Over the next few weeks, Margaret and I started spending more time together. We went on actual dates, talked openly about our pasts, and found a comfortable rhythm. She was everything Philippa wasn't: stable, kind, emotionally mature, and completely transparent. The idea of revenge faded into the background, replaced by the excitement of a new, healthy relationship. But the opportunity for a public reveal, a moment of undeniable clarity, presented itself. Thanksgiving was approaching. Philippa's father, Margaret's father, always hosted a large, chaotic family gathering. Philippa and Hashim would undoubtedly be there, basking in their newly rediscovered connection. Margaret and I decided we would go. Together. Thanksgiving Day arrived. My stomach was a mix of nerves and anticipation. Margaret and I arrived at her dad's house, hand in hand. The house was already packed with relatives, the air thick with the smell of roasting turkey and simmering family drama. We walked into the living room, and the noise level seemed to drop instantly. All eyes turned to us. And then, I saw her. Philippa. Sitting on the couch, conspicuously close to Hashim, who had his arm around her. Her eyes, which had been bright with self-satisfaction, widened when she saw me. And then, when she saw my hand in Margaret's, her expression shifted from confusion to utter, incandescent rage. "Ben," she shrieked, jumping up, almost knocking over a plate of appetizers. "What are you doing here? And with her?" Hashim, looking bewildered, quickly removed his arm from around Philippa. Margaret squeezed my hand. "Happy Thanksgiving, Philippa," she said, her voice calm and sweet. "Ben's my date." The ensuing confrontation was explosive. Philippa started screaming, accusing me of stalking her, of trying to ruin her life, of manipulating Margaret. She turned to her father, demanding he kick us out. Family members, who had been enjoying their drinks, were now staring, wide-eyed, caught in the crossfire. Philippa, in a desperate attempt to justify herself, then launched into a rambling, convoluted explanation of her polyamorous identity, trying to explain to her bewildered aunts and uncles that she could love many people at once and that Hashim was just one of her connections. She tried to paint me as the controlling ex who couldn't handle her personal growth. It devolved into a chaotic family therapy session, with relatives trying to understand what polyamory even meant, and Philippa getting increasingly flustered as her carefully constructed narrative crumbled under the weight of her own public hypocrisy. She was trying to be the enlightened, progressive one, but she just came across as a selfish, manipulative mess. Margaret and I just stood there, letting her dig her own grave, occasionally exchanging a knowing glance. The evening ended with Philippa and Hashim storming out, leaving a trail of stunned silence and awkward apologies in their wake. After the Thanksgiving debacle, the fallout was swift and severe. My phone, which I had kept on silent for days, exploded with messages from Philippa. Frantic, then furious, then tearful. She tried to manipulate the narrative, painting herself as the victim of my cruelty and Margaret's betrayal. I blocked her number. She tried through email, through mutual friends, even creating burner social media accounts to send me messages. I blocked every single one. Meanwhile, Margaret and I grew closer than ever. Amidst the chaos, we found solace in each other's company. We talked for hours, laughing at Philippa's increasingly desperate antics, finding comfort in our shared understanding of her manipulative personality. Our relationship deepened, built on a foundation of honesty and mutual respect, a stark contrast to the deceit I had endured with Philippa. Philippa, true to form, took to social media to air her grievances. She posted cryptic messages about toxic exes and jealous sisters, then more direct accusations, claiming I was controlling during our relationship and that Margaret had stolen me. Some of our mutual friends, still loyal to Philippa, jumped to her defense, sending me angry messages. But many others, especially after the Thanksgiving spectacle, started to see through her. They remembered her past behavior, her inconsistencies. The comments on her posts started turning against her, questioning her narrative. I chose not to engage. I didn't post anything, didn't reply to any comments. I focused on building my new relationship with Margaret, letting Philippa's own actions speak for themselves. As time passed, it became clear that her attempts to regain control, to manipulate public opinion, were failing spectacularly. Her carefully curated influencer image was crumbling. The situation escalated one last time. Philippa, desperate, showed up at my workplace. She marched into the lobby, demanding to see me. When I came out, she thrust her phone in my face, displaying what she claimed were incriminating messages from Margaret. They were clearly fabricated, poorly photoshopped screenshots of texts, trying to make Margaret look like a manipulative schemer. "See, Ben," she shrieked, "she's been planning this. She's manipulating you. She's always hated me." I took her phone, calmly examined the evidence, and then looked at her. "These are fake, Philippa. And I know it. You're done." That evening, Margaret and I went to Philippa's apartment. We didn't yell. We didn't argue. We simply confronted her, calmly and factually, with all the evidence we had, her lies, her manipulations, the fabricated messages, the years of emotional games. We told her we were done. Completely. That she needed to get help. And that we would block all further contact. She tried to deny, to cry, to manipulate, but we just walked out, leaving her alone with the truth. After that final confrontation, we blocked all of Philippa's attempts to reach us. We changed our numbers, unfriended her on all platforms, and cut off any mutual acquaintances who continued to enable her. We started planning a fresh start, including a trip to Italy, something Margaret and I had always dreamed of. A few months later, I received a final email from Philippa, sent from an old account I hadn't blocked yet. It was short, surprisingly subdued. She apologized. She acknowledged her mistakes, her manipulations, her selfishness. She said she was seeking therapy. I read it, felt a flicker of something, then deleted it. It was too little, too late, but perhaps a sign that she was finally, truly, beginning her own personal growth journey. I realized that her actions, while initially devastating, had inadvertently led me to a healthier, more fulfilling relationship with Margaret. The chaos she created ultimately cleared the path for genuine connection and happiness. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes, the greatest gifts come from the most challenging experiences.